And I'm live. Hello, folks. Can you hear me? Yes, I think this is working. Hi. How are we doing? This is. Let me introduce you to my new favorite hoodie. I got this in Mexico. My mother-in-law gave me this hoodie, and it is my favorite hoodie. It's it's just so wonderfully colorful. The hood is interesting, and it's really cozy. What's great about it, I think, because it's from Mexico, is that I think it's not, despite it being kind of very fluffy and whatnot. It's actually not that warm. It's actually quite a light hoodie, so it'll be great during the summer, particularly the Irish summer, where I may want to wear long sleeves, but don't want to be completely sweltered. So who's to know? So hi, folks. Happy. Well, I've seen loads of people saying happy leap year. I mean, it's been a leap year since 1st of January, but I suppose happy leap day. Here we are on the 29th of February. 29th of February has always been a bit of a funny date, particularly for me, because I've always had to wait one extra day for my birthday, because my birthday's tomorrow, 1st of March, same as Justin Bieber. And Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and Ron Weasley, funnily enough, Gingers of the World Unite, fiction, even though they're fictional characters. I think there's another, well, there's, I think, Pete Townsend, I think possibly. Harry Belafonte also 1st of March. But I mean, technically everybody beyond the 29th of February has to wait an extra day for their birthday. But I always really feel it because it is so close, so close. Like there was somebody I knew, their birthday was on the 28th of February, and so there was almost like a kind of a, what's the word, a bit of a riddle about my birthday. It's like that my birthday is usually the day after theirs, but not always. And there you go. But yeah, so how are we all doing? Here we are now at the end of February. Where did that month go? At the start of February, I was in Mexico, as you may have saw in may have seen, John grammar. Although I'm very lenient, particularly when it comes to seen and saw, as are a lot of Irish people. I think a lot of Donegal people. There's some people who are really pernickety on their grammar, um, but I mean, I would quite quickly say I seen that. Yeah, I seen that last week. Um, and some people are like, no, it's saw, and I'm like, well, language evolves, and as long as it, I suppose there's some people where it does sound grating to them. I don't find it grating. I think it suits my accent. I saw that last week. Yeah, I can say that, but yeah, it's quite a stormy night tonight here in Ireland. The weather's hilariously different since we were in Mexico. It was like 25 degrees Celsius every day in Mexico, and it was nice and cozy and warm. And as soon as I came back, uh, my body just couldn't handle the cold again, and I got a little sick. Hopefully, it wasn't coronavirus. I mean, it's a bit late now, I suppose, but I suppose I did spend a long time in LAX, and it was a fairly chesty cough. So yeah, it's spreading around the world, and I mean, obviously, it's serious for people who are particularly vulnerable to it. But I mean, I think people are getting very panicked about it. Like particularly like when you think what 10 years ago, 11 years ago, the swine flu epidemic, and I I'm raging because I remember with the swine flu, I remember thinking whoever recently invested in hand sanitizer, gel, hand cream, whatever you want to call it, whoever invested in hand sanitizer, like in the stock markets, I don't necessarily know how the stock markets work, but if this is how it works, if someone invested a lot of money in hand sanitizer, they made a steal. And I'm raging because I was like, oh, if ever something like this comes up again, I'm going to invest, But then, of course, you have to work out the right moment to say to buy and sell, sell, sell. Let's have a little look here. Ooh. Do you know what we're gonna do? I'm actually gonna put on a little bit of music while we chat. Is the music on? There we go. Just a little music in the background, just to let's crank it up a little bit. Not a little bit too much. There. So we can all just sit, chill, and chat. Um, but yeah, it is quite interesting to see so many people panicking about it. Like they were talking about they cancelled or they postponed the rugby match, the Six Nations rugby match. That music's actually too loud for me now. There we go. There we go. They postponed the Six Nations rugby match, and it was between Ireland and Italy because there are several outbreaks in Italy. I think like 300 confirmed cases or something like that. And although, I mean, I was talking to my friend in Italy and she was like, it's fine. But says he as he coughs. But yeah, so they postponed the rugby match because they don't want a whole pile of people coming from Italy to stand in a big, massive, crowded stadium for 2 hours and potentially spread the virus further. That being said, I mean, they were talking about this on the radio earlier. These people who have booked their weekend to Dublin are probably still going to come. It's not like they have a travel ban up. Not that I'm saying we need a travel ban, but like the people are like it's about 3,000 people are going to be coming from Italy, and they're going to be floating around Dublin, floating around the pubs, floating around the streets, and getting to know everybody and saying hi or ciao. And I mean, more than likely, I mean, there's one confirmed case of coronavirus in Northern Ireland. More than likely, it's already here. And just wash your hands. Wash your hands. Avoid touching your face if you can. Basic kind of hygiene things. Keep clean and keep safe, and you should be fine. Unless you're particularly vulnerable to that kind of thing. In that case, take it easy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what way it goes. I mean, if it's anything like, now that being said, influenza, because it is a different virus. So some were talking about that perhaps that the way influenza dies off in kind of April time because it just gets too warm for it to survive. Coronavirus may not have the same weakness. So Who's to know? Who's to know? One thing that people should do is to stop housing animals so close to each other. I mean, I'm not a full out vegan, not in any ways close, uh, but I do recognize it as the direction, hopefully, that we're going. I mean, environmentally, veganism is so much better for the environment, as long as it's done right. I mean, obviously, land, correct land use, but the beef industry alone is churning out methane. Like, we're talking about carbon emissions and carbon dioxide. Methane is so much worse. Like, I mean, you even have methane as well. Not that this is, um, you have methane and the melting ice caps as well, because you've got all this permafrost, all these like frozen leaves and stuff that are now defrosting. These things that have been frozen for hundreds of thousands of years are now defrosting and letting off all of that rotten plant methane. And yeah, it's what's it? A negative feedback loop, where the worse the problem gets, the more it accelerates, because it's exacerbating every single thing. So fun. The world is in a great place at the moment. But we'll get there. What else has happened? The Irish election was a lot of fun. We elected 20% Sinn Féin, 20% Fianna Fáil, 20% Fine Gael. Well, it wasn't exactly that. It was, but they were kind of very, very, very neck and neck. And then all of the other parties. Green Party was back on form. I mean, back on form. I mean, they did better than what they did in the last couple of elections, because you sold out, man, with Fianna Fáil years ago. I remember that was nearly 10 years ago now, and they were the early days of the Man comics, when I was making them as web comics. And I remember when it's a pun that I am still very proud of, where it was, for ages people were just saying, it was during the whole banking crisis, and people were really angry with Fianna Fáil, and people were just like, we just want an election now. We don't want to wait to see what else Fianna Fáil is going to do. Let's just get rid of them and have a new election. And the Green Party were, hold on a minute. Let us see. I just have to send something here. The wonders of technology. Let's see, copy. There we go. But yeah, so this was 10 years ago, and the Green Party were propping up Fianna Fáil because they couldn't get a whole majority, and people were just like, Green Party, just pull the plug. Just we're done with this government. You have the power. Which is the fun and interesting thing in minority governments. But you have the power. And I remember the Man comic that I did. It was the Green Party, and they were in their headquarters, and they were all standing around a tree. And this was the day where they finally pulled the plug, and they were all standing around a tree. And finally, this little pear popped off the tree, and they were like, "Yay, we did it! We finally grew a pear." And that is probably one of my proudest puns ever. I think I peaked 10 years ago, and hasn't been the same since. But Who's to know? Anybody chatting in the chats? Who's floating about on the blustery internet tonight? We've got Storm Jorge blowing up a storm outside. It's thankfully now Donegal's been. I think it's only just reaching us now, so that's fun. I think down south was getting it very bad. A lot of flooding. A lot of. I actually saw a video of a truck getting pushed over. So be safe, people. And I think this is a status red weather warning, so take it seriously. No, I said take it seriously. I didn't say Siri. She's very, very eager to say hi. Oh, hey, Meg. Meg's in the chat. Hey, Meg. What is the crack? I'm still wearing this hoodie. Yes. This is my favorite hoodie. It is bright and colorful and just it has to be worn. Now that being said, I was wearing another jumper earlier, but I thought I'd have to wear this for the live streams, for the chats, because it's. I mean, look at it. It's amazing. I love it. But yeah, how's the touring going, Madam Meg? All good? The mysteries of the chat. But no, so this time around, they're still working out. They're still working out with regards to oh, good. I'm glad the touring is going well. But yeah, so they're still trying to work out what the Irish government is at the moment. They're trying to work out who is going to go into power with who, but nobody has the numbers to make up a majority. It's wonderful. It's great. But it is one of the slight drawbacks of proportional representation, but it's fine all the same, because you get a much more nuanced view of your electorate. Folks, I have a little bit of fun news for you all. I'm glad that I can finally confirm that I will be, myself and Louise Conahan, will be showcasing, as part of Donegal Tourism, we will be showcasing Mannyman Does the History of Ireland on stage at the Milwaukee Irish Fest this summer in August. More details and things to come, but anybody out there in the Midwestern region, or that being said, anywhere in North America who wants to travel thousands, if not hundreds, if not tens of miles to come and see Mannyman Does the History of Ireland on stage. It is 70-minute. Well, actually, we will be slowing it down a little bit because of our accents. So it'll probably be 80 minutes roller coaster ride through Irish history with the wonderfully talented and absolutely hilarious Louise Conahan. Myself and herself, we play about 100 characters each from all sorts of different points in Irish history. That guy there, that's Oliver Cromwell. And that was a prop that was originally made for the play. We ended up not using that prop, so he's now in my office. But you can also see there, actually, there's a whole pile of swords and stuff in the style of Mannyman. They are also some of the props used. All of the props are like hand-drawn cutouts, which was a lot of fun. Like, it's really, it's a hand-drawn aesthetic that goes with the play. Excuse me. But yeah, so that is exciting. I am really looking forward to bringing Mannyman to the United States as part of a special showcase for Donegal Tourism. There's loads of details and loads of other things to do with the Irish Fest, which I can't talk about right now, but that is as much as I can say. So excitement. Um, but what else? I have, oh, I just give you some updates. I have also been working on, some of you may have seen some of my posts up. I've been working on some of my new maps for the Five Lamps Arts Festival. So this was one of the maps that I did for the Bram Stoker Festival last October. And I have literally drawn every single building between O'Connell Street and Croke Park. Now, I don't know if this comes up backwards for you folks, but it's certainly backwards for me. But yeah, it's stupidly detailed. So what I'm now doing, I'm in the process of extending it and doing a whole pile of new sections. But so this kind of actually overlaps like that. And ultimately, the plan is theoretically to do, so here's, oh, special. These are some of the brand new stuff. This is down along North Wall Quay. And what's quite cool about this is there's a whole pile of buildings that are still under construction at the moment. So I'm having to do a whole pile of really fun research into seeing what those final buildings are going to look like, so I can essentially try and future-proof my map as much as possible. But yeah, ultimately the idea and plan for words, global domination, is to do the entire city, well, not the entire city of Dublin, that's massive, but at least to do the entire city centre of Dublin from Royal Canal to Grand Canal with the Liffey running in between. So that'd be great, theoretically. But yeah, so all is good in the proverbial hood, but not so much actually in Poland. I was reading that 1/3 of the country is being laid out as an LGBT free zone, which is all sorts of disturbing. All sorts of disturbing. I mean, like, what do you hope to achieve there? Yeah. Homophobia just baffles me. It frustrates me. It baffles me. And yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't baffle me because I think there is such a thing in conservative society of could have of the way things should be, and heteronormativity, things being heterosexual, therefore that is the norm. And it's like, but that's one norm, but there are other people who don't conform to that norm and have their own normal. And it's I don't understand why people can just be so affronted by it, other than it says in the Bible you should. Ooh, what is that floating in front of the camera? There's like something floating. Oh, hello, reverse muffin. How goes it? But yeah, I don't understand how people can be so um um oh, hang on. Yes, hi Laura. How are we doing? Yes. I everybody's commenting on my hoodie tonight. It is it's my favorite hoodie. It has to be. It's just too colorful. Um, but speaking of wonderfully colorful things, I just it annoys me to no end how people can be so affronted by LGBT people. Um, I think there's a lack of understanding. There's a yeah. I mean, I remember seeing a TV interview on Irish TV of because they've been talking about updating the sex education in schools, um, and people were and like this is the sex education course that starts age 4 all the way up to teenage years or whatever. But of course, when you say that, people are like, why are you teaching 4-year olds about sex? And it's like, no, we're not teaching 4-year olds about sex. They're beginning to teach 4-year olds about that world. And it's not about, you don't teach them the ins and outs of it at the age of 4, but no, you teach age appropriate things like that is a penis, that is a vagina, you know? And, at an age appropriate level. And and so on this TV interview that I saw, there was this lady who was taught, why are we even teaching children these things? But because people are like thinking about this, the gay agenda, and what they're trying to corrupt our children, and it's like, well, no, because there's a lot of these children who are growing up who probably are gay, and by the time they're old enough to kind of realize this in themselves and recognize this in themselves, they've grown up hopefully in a world where that's okay. And I mean, it's wonderful to see, like, even just the younger the kids these days, the younger generations of teenagers even now, who are seemingly so much more open and so much more comfortable about being openly gay or bi or even trans or all sorts of the various myriad of things that come under LGBTQ plus and non-binary, um, and it's it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that it seems to be working, that teenagers nowadays seem to be more comfortable in that regard. um and of course, you've got older generations who, that wasn't the norm, and that um i i, I think the big problem with a lot of people is that a lot of people just instantly link it with sex, and link it with if you teach children about gay people, you have to teach them about all of the mechanics that go about it. It's like, no, you don't. I mean, you don't teach young children about the mechanics of heterosexuality, so why, like, it's just, it's silly. It's really silly. Um and I just it just annoys me. And so you've now got a country that, I mean, well, it's illegal in Russia, isn't it? And it's illegal in a lot of countries still. It was illegal in Ireland up until what, the 1980s or was it the early 90s? I think the 80s. Um, but it's amazing just to see how far the LGBTQ community has come. Um, on my way over to um, on my way over to Mexico last month, well, start of this month, we stopped off in New York, and part of that visit, we actually went into the Stonewall Inn, which was really cool. I mean, it's probably one of the most historically significant bars in New York City, and and if you can think of another one, please let me know, because I was thinking about that. I was like, this is probably the most historically, culturally significant bar in uh, New York City. Um, but um, and so we went in, and the guy, and we had a drink there. Myself and my wife went into the Stonewall Inn and had a drink. Oh, let's see. Read. It's hard enough figuring out how to teach our kids. Never mind having to battle the old norms and taboos that we grew up with, and those who are very happy to stay within those boundaries. Absolutely, Laura. That's the thing, and things change as the years go on. Things, like different norms. Like there's a great series. What is it? Is the oh, it's not the it's not the Gay Cruise. Oh no, what's it called? Hold on, I need to find this out. It's about like sitcoms in the 1990s and 1980s. Um, Sitcoms 90s Cruise YouTube. It's a really good series. Oh, there we go. Because I would like to give this channel a shout out if I can. Don't take this wrong. Oh, hello, Fraser. What's the name of the series? What's the name of the channel? Of course, it's deciding to be wonderfully slow. It never even occurred to me that you might be gay. Okay, thank you, Fraser. There we go. Matt Baum is the name of the channel, and Culture Cruise. There we go. That's what it is. The Culture Cruise is the name of the show, and it's really good. It goes through a lot of pop culture, particularly from the 80s and 90s, and explores how they began to tackle or how they treated gay characters, and a lot of them, and I mean, they were the 80s, they were the 90s. I mean, Friends in particular has dated particularly badly with regards how it treats the gays, because a lot of people are, just the whole thing with Chandler's mom and Chandler's mum was watching it in this day and age, it's just horrifically transphobic. But them's were the days. But that's the thing. Comedy is always the first thing to age badly. Like there was like I was going through, I've only very recently got into Saturday Night Live. My wife introduced it to me because for years, because Saturday Night Live is something that never made it across the Atlantic. You'd always hear bits and pieces, but like before YouTube, Saturday Night Live just didn't, and you wouldn't watch a series. You knew that certain actors came from Saturday Night Live, and you knew that certain um, characters or comedy sketches came from Saturday Night Live, but it's a show that never really made it over here. But I have gotten into it, and it is very hit and miss. But when it's good, it is excellent. Um, and Kit Harrington's really funny, and Harry Styles as well. Great episodes. They're always the best ones. Is when someone really surprises you as to how good they are as the guest hosts. Um, but what's really cool now about SNL is that their YouTube channel, like whatever person just had this brainwave of, oh my god, we have 40 years of content that we can just fill this YouTube channel with. It's a stroke of genius where they're just sitting there and they have 40 years of 40 years of comedy sketches that they go starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and Eddie Murphy and all of these people, and it's amazing. Just it's really cool now that it is all they're archiving it on YouTube, which is great. But as it was said, that there are some of the older sketches which have aged poorly with regards who is the butt of the joke, with regards what we joke about, what we don't joke about. Now, of course, I mean, there are the likes of the Ricky Gervaises who would, and don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Ricky Gervais. I think a lot of his humor is brilliant. But there's a big but. Um, the likes of him and other people are like, oh well, you should be able to joke about anything, and it's like, yes, on a basic principle, I do agree with that. You should be able to joke about anything, but to quote the great Ben Parker, with great power comes great responsibility, and it's like, to quote Ian Malcolm, you were spending so much time about thinking whether or not you didn't stop to think if you should. And there's some jokes, it's like, yeah, you can make those jokes, they're there, but do you have to make those jokes? And like ContraPoints, Natalie Wynn did a brilliant video. I think it's about, is it the darkness or the blackness or something? Oh, I think it's called The Darkness. Might be. I'm not sure. But it's about, well, it's about a lot of things, but it touches on Ricky Gervais's stand-up. And for those who don't know, Natalie Wynn is this amazing YouTuber who runs a channel called ContraPoints. And she's a trans woman, and she has spoken a lot about the trans experience, her trans experience, because every single person's experience is different. She addressed this because in one of Ricky Gervais's most recent shows, he joked about Caitlyn Jenner, and I mean, the point that he made, again, I kind of agree with him. Again, on a very basic principle, where he's talking about where he should technically be allowed to refer to the time when Caitlyn Jenner was presenting as a man. And I mean, there is the whole issue of dead naming, and I think with regards now, I mean, I'm a cis white male, so I think my opinion isn't necessarily as um uh, it's not worth as much on this topic as a lot of other people's opinion is here. Um, but he makes the point where because he made a joke about Caitlyn's transition, and then he made a joke about that at the Golden Globes, and then later in a stand up show he spoke about how people were complaining about that, and so he proceeds to do an entire bit about when Caitlyn Jenner was a man. And it's just really, you know, it's like there's plenty other jokes out there. And this is the point that Natalie Wynn makes is that there's tons of humor to be uh, extracted from the trans experience, but a lot of the I think it's just a lot of the humor that the likes of Ricky Gervais brought from it was just very base level, really. You're gonna, and not only that, but I mean, there was, he made the point of, well, I'm going to identify as a chimpanzee, and it's like, I mean, sure. No, actually, no, not sure. There's a huge difference between identifying as a different species and doing so very flippantly, and doing so and identifying as a different gender. Oh, the world we live in. Um, but yeah, I mean, as long as we can cherish each other and we can love each other and we can um not make life difficult for other people unless they're harming someone else. I mean, otherwise. But this is the thing, and I suppose that is the I think that's the problem. That's the crux of the problem right there, is that there are certain people who think that gay people are harming other people, and with that in mind, it's understandable why it's understandable why they might have such a problem with gay people, because they think that they're sinning, they think that it's degenerate, but it's not. It's not. Um, I mean, I love the whole thing where um, people are, like a lot of like conservative Westerners are talking about, Western civilization and Western culture and all of this kind of stuff. But it's like, you know, isn't gay culture part of Western culture? Obviously not exclusively, but it's like, you know, what, like their view of what Western culture as Western values is just so narrow. And it's like, you do know that the ancient Greeks were super gay. Um, like, I mean, obviously not all, but like, it was very much a thing in ancient Greece. And many figures throughout history who may, I mean, this is the thing, throughout history, at times when people may have hidden the fact they were gay, so it's more difficult to find evidence of people who are gay. But say, for example, King Edward II of England was more than likely, probably, almost definitely gay, as was Queen Anne the First, I do believe. Um, yes, two spirit people in Native American cultures. Like it is there, and I think our view of things, this binary view of straight and gay, male and female, and these views, it doesn't actually fit the reality that these things are on a spectrum, and that, I mean, yeah, the majority, when it comes to gender, the majority of people are either male or female, and that's fair. But just because that is the most common thing, it doesn't mean that anything in between or non-binary and like it doesn't take away from that, because they're because it's not part of the binary. There is an in between. um in the same way as sexuality, it's a spectrum. It's not a, you're either gay or you're straight. you know like like the vast majority of people will probably identify as one or the other, and the vast majority of people around the world, the majority is straight. But one would question, um, how much of that is dictated by society that has for centuries shunned homosexuality, because the reality is that nobody's 100% straight. Nobody is. And to suggest that, if someone's 100% straight, it's like, no. And I mean, I know myself that I'm like predominantly straight, but I mean, it's not, doesn't mean that I'm it's a case of, I think there's an element of, where some people who aren't comfortable with the possibility of homosexual thoughts, some people who a lot of people who are disgusted by it, um they'll they'll see someone walking down the street, and they'll be like, oh, look, and they'll see them from behind, and they'll be like, oh wow, they look good, and then they go past them and they realize that it was a member of the same sex, and they're like, oh no. And it's like, well, no, I mean, you found it attractive. There you go. It's fine. Well done. They've got a great body. Woohoo. And I think, society, people have, for years, this whole thing of the not gays, and so, oh no, 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 oh no, 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 oh no, I'm not gay. And I know I even kind of did that, at times as well, where it's like, oh well, no, not like I'm straight. It's like, I mean, I'm as straight as I am. I mean, I'm married to a woman, um, uh, but sexuality is very much a spectrum, and I think the more people can understand that, and the more people can accept that our strict binary view on gay or straight, or strict binary view on gender, on male and female, is damaging. This strict view on those things is actually damaging, because it's forcing people into one or the other. And if you don't fit into one or the other, then you're banjaxed. Then there's no place for you. Then, you're rejected from the group or whatever. But the more we as a society can explore and accept that these things that we have built, that these binaries aren't, like, people are, oh, well, this, it's nature. It's like, well, if it's nature, then, like, there are intersex people. I mean, it does happen. It's like, just because the majority either lands on one or the other, but, like, and even chromosomes, all sorts of things. It's very frustrating. And it's very frustrating to see people just refusing to open their mind to it. Because not only that, would you see this? I kept this because this is ridiculous. Speaking of the Irish election earlier, some people, excuse me, some people may have seen this. This is the Irish Patriot, which is ridiculous. I shouldn't even be giving this any airtime, but it's so xenophobic, homophobic. It's essentially the alt-right in Ireland, super conservative right in Ireland. And what was great in our most recent election was pretty much anybody running under this banner didn't do well at all. Because what was it? I think there was a news article. The headline was, after decades of austerity, Ireland voted and chose to blame bankers and not immigrants. If there's a positive to come, but like the immigration is the new plantation. And keep our Euro pigs gobble your taxes. Oh, so you're exiteers as well. Globalism, privatizing the Irish soul. Globalism. Oh, globalism. Do you hear that little dog whistle? For anyone who doesn't know, and I'm just saying this now, for anyone who doesn't know, a dog whistle and globalism is a wonderful little dog whistle for any, wannabe Nazis out there. And globalism is this little code for the Jews. Now, I mean, it's a bit more nuanced than that, but once you start hearing people starting to talk about globalists, just well, I would say wait, but don't even waste your time. And not only that, but I've got a lovely big poster of Michael. I wonder what Michael Collins would make of today. I love Michael Collins, a great guy. The Ray in the Bog, Niall McConnell explains why he decided to stand for Chakta Dali. Chakti Dali, it should be Chakta Dali. That's not even spelled right. And Donegal and Varadkar's gerrymandered snap election, and to build a new nationalist movement, Shiel Maheran. Oh, dry your eyes. Oh, they want to kill our babies in peace. Pro-life. Then why are you so anti-life in so many other ways? This is a beef crisis and the theft of Ireland. Niall McConnell explains the sinister reality behind the green agenda of our election rigging government. He vows to end anti-farmer taxes and break the monopolies that are killing rural Ireland. It's very loaded. It's very loaded. The green agenda is to make sure that the planet doesn't become inhospitable for most of life on this planet. And if that means less cows, sorry. Oh, Ireland's new black and tans. Garage O'Coleman warns that the Leinster House looters will unleash terror against all who oppose their corruption. And look at the picture they use. A whole mob. Scary people. And none of them are white. Scary. Ireland's new debt slavery. Scary. Every single one of these things is scary. Ireland twinned with Sodom and Gomorrah. There we go. They had to get there, didn't they? With Andrew Joyce exposes how the cancer of LGBT. You prick. Comparing LGBT people to cancer? I know someone who I could compare to cancer. Indoctrination is spreading through the Irish education system to infect innocent children. Infect. Oh no, they're making our children more tolerant. Heaven forbid. Oh God. So this is trash. This, yeah. I mean, complete trash. But rigged election, banana republic without bananas. Oh my God. Drain the bog. I'm glad you didn't get in anyway. Whoops. There we go. But yeah, anything else? Oh yeah, I suppose I can update you about. I wrote a screenplay, which was fun. I'm not going to tell you too much about it right now, but I wrote a screenplay, which was my first feature-length screenplay, which was fun. Yeah, there's a fun update. While I was relaxing in Mexico, I was chilling out underneath the sun and writing, because sometimes I can't stop. But I mean, in fairness, I was totally relaxed, and I was like, I'm going to write something. So I mean, it was relaxing, and it wasn't a waste of time. But with regard to history videos coming up now, as I said, I've been working on this on my maps for the Five Lamps Festival for now. So that's keeping me very busy. But the next video coming up, as voted for by you, is the Monarchs of England Part 1, which is very exciting. It's funny because that script, now it's a very long script because there's probably going to be maybe 4 or 5 parts to it. But the first section of that script is actually about 3 or 4 years old. I wrote it a couple of years ago going, I'm going to make this video. Never got around to making it. And I'm also planning on doing a lot of the other remastered videos. I'm also planning on doing some audio commentaries, or like some like I might go through the videos and pause them and like kind of talk through them. If you'd be interested in seeing some of that, let me know in the comments below. Yeah. All right. So the next video will be monarchs of the UK. So wasn't the United Kingdom for a long time before the kings, but let's see. It will probably be. I hope to work to get at it uh, hopefully sometime in April or May. But before that, there's going to be some new content finally coming up onto John D. Ruddy Does Stuff, my other channel. So I've got a couple of Let's Plays that I have to put up. I have another Paddy O'Donnell podcast to record. I haven't been recording him in ages, so I need to record him again because I've been so busy. But yeah, a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So if you are watching this now on after the fact, after it's been live, and you want the opportunity to get on the chats and chat away with me in the comments or in the live chat, you can do so by supporting on Patreon. Everybody who supports me on Patreon gets access to this live stream. And then anyone who is $5 per month plus, they get a guaranteed question asked. So a lot of stuff to look forward to, a lot of stuff to do. But for now, folks, I will leave it at that. I thank you very much for popping in and saying hello, and I'll see you later. And now we have the awkward bit where I go and turn off the button. End stream. Are you sure you want to end your stream? Yes, I am. Bye-bye.